Donald Trump, when he wins again, and I think there's a lot of things that have got to happen. Like I would love to see him, for instance, abolish the Department of Education. You can educate your children in New Hampshire values, not swamp values. I'd love to see him abolish. He's already pulled America out of 3 United Nations bodies. I'd love to see him pull America right out of the United Nations. So, you imagine right now we've got all these young kids that are all going crazy for Bernie Sanders, but Trump gets in again and they can finally move out of their mom's basement and they can get an $80,000 a year job and get married and have mortgages and kids. They're going to forget a lot of this crap. But we got to fight this in every front, because it's in the colleges. We've got to change that. Wouldn't it be great if instead of 50% of kids going to college, 20% of kids went to college, and the rest went to trade school and did apprenticeships?
Right.
Wouldn't that transform the country? So there's a whole bunch of things we can put into place that will transform the culture. So that, politics is downstream from culture. The culture shapes the politics. Culture is downstream from religion. Religion shapes the culture shapes the politics. So we're going to be working backwards here. We've got to win the election, because otherwise we're done. But then we have to change the culture, and we have to restore the religion. So this is not going to happen overnight, but we've got to start somewhere. And we know that if we lose the election, everything else is for nothing. So it's an ebb and flow. We don't just win, keep on winning. We win, we lose, we win, we lose, we win, we lose. But we've been on a good trajectory lately, and we've got to keep that going for as long as we can.
Let me add this. Ronald Reagan got elected after Jimmy Carter. Everybody remember Jimmy Carter?
Oh,
yeah. I did repent for voting for him. And I really believe that they are setting us up with the craziness, impeachment and the Green New Deal. But what we got to do is make sure that our voters are worked up, that they're mobilized, that they're exercised, that they understand that's partly what we're doing. We're trying to sound the alarm and say, hey, everybody, this is critical. I mean, if you've never voted before in your life, you've got to vote. Look, I ran for office in Virginia, and I would go and talk to Christians, going to church every Sunday. Well, are you going to vote? No, I don't get involved. I said, well, do you realize if you don't, your liberty, your ability to freely worship, your ability to go out and hunt and have the guns that you want to have is going to be gone. Because folks, if these people take over the country, all that's out the window. Your speech will be curtailed by hate speech. And guess what hate speech will be? Anything that doesn't agree with them. Your Second Amendment rights will be gone. So every one of us has to sound the alarm with our family members, with our friends, with our colleagues. And let me say one thing about the black vote. We're working hard on the black vote. I believe this president is going to shock people with the level of minority vote that he gets. Because just like a lot of people from different backgrounds, they made it hard for you to say you're a Trump voter. Because you might end up in a fight. But I really believe there's a quiet support out there for President Donald Trump. It's not going unnoticed that he has fought for our First Amendment rights as Christian people. It's not going unnoticed that he's fought for our Second Amendment rights. We just got to make sure that people are informed, and so they understand what's going on. Get off all this, oh, he's a racist. I wish he'd stop tweeting. Pay attention to what the man is doing. The lowest unemployment rate among minorities in the history of keeping records. What more do you want? I mean, my goodness. So we got to sell that. So we got to mobilize our people. If we do that, we're going to win. Yes, ma'am. Let's get some.
When Obama was running, we tried to vet him. And if anybody raised anything against him, we were called racist.
Yeah.
So doing the same thing now, turning that around on everyone, the media is helping. The mainstream media, communists that they are, how do we overcome that? I mean, we're all on Facebook and Twitter, and we try to say things to offset that narrative. What can we do with
I'll take this one first. Deflect it. Say, first of all, I'm not even buying that lie. This is about policy and about philosophy. And then just go right back at the policy and the philosophy. Because see, what they want to do is shut you down. They want to shame people into not speaking up. I mean, most of the time they don't call me racist, but they got some names. I don't care. I really don't care. There's too much at stake for that. So just don't let them back you off. I mean, all this stuff about the president being a racist because he said, you know, why are we taking people from certain countries? And then he used the phrase I wouldn't use, but nevertheless we know what he meant. Well, he was right. I mean, he wasn't talking about the race of the people from those countries. He was talking about the conditions of those countries and the problems that we are inheriting by bringing people from some of these places. And by the way, that includes Eastern Europe. Eastern Europe has got a lot of problems right now. And we've got a lot of illegal immigrants from Eastern Europe. It wasn't a racial comment, but that's what they're always going to class it as. I would blow right through that and go right back at the issue.
See, like a couple of years ago, you couldn't say the word socialism, you couldn't say the word communism, but when the President of the United States says it, he's opened a space for us to say things. You know, look, we don't have a problem. That's why I think it'll be Kamala Harris, because they need a person of colour so they can play the race card. Because it's the only way they'll win an election, because they can't run on the economy, that's for sure.
By the way, let me point out, we all have color. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
Well, the only colour I care about, I cared about Obama's colour in as far as he was red. You know, but it just, look, this is what the bishop says, we need to enthuse our base and alarm our base. Because I've seen surveys that said if Trump runs against a generic Democrat, he's level pegging, maybe a little bit below. But if he runs against a Democrat perceived as a socialist, he wins by 8 to 10 points. So he is very right to make this election about socialism and communism. They call us racists and white supremacists and Nazis, and we call them liberals and progressives. We need to call them all the time Marxist, socialists, and communists, the three wings of the Democratic Party. You know, we need to label them for what they are, and that'll put them on the defensive, because they've had us on the defensive for years. Every time they pull out the race card, we go on the defensive, you know. So you just brush it off, ignore it, and you go for the issues and call them for what they are.
Let's go to Marmar.
I just wanted to say, as a nurse, when you look underneath the outer layer of skin, we are all exactly the same.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, dear. Yes, ma'am.
Could you talk about how Obama hired Charles Slade? Ukraine and the Russian fronts, and they were actually doing the IT for DNC, and they're the ones.
No, I don't know about that, you know.
Well, let's come back to that one. Because look, I want to try to get you all out by 9 o'clock. Okay, is that okay? Diane?
Actually, we can stay later if people want, but before you wrap up the question and answer, I really would like you to address your phone call, your teleconference, and invite people.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
And we also have some books there and t-shirts as well. Some of my books and some t-shirts.
Yeah, I've got some books over here, but I happen to love this one. If you want to get into a debate, you can wear this, Stand Against Communism. We've got some of these over there.
You wouldn't stand very long.
Yes, ma'am.
When the last election with Trump and Hillary, a couple of people, you have in your family, I know I have every side of this. My kids are all a comment was made by Ralph, how can you vote for Trump? I don't like him, he's so cruel. Listen, on this hand, I got room to cruise over. On this hand, on the left, I got communism. I'll take it. You can do anything. So I've been talking socialism and communism for the last several years, and I don't think any of us should be afraid of it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. This is not going to be Republican versus Democrat. We're going to make it Constitution versus communism.
Absolutely.
That's what it is.
And communism versus freedom. Yes, sir.
Don't be afraid to say the words.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
One of the things, I'm Tony now from Goffstown, and I love you guys.
Thank you.
You and I are on the same wavelength, and I've been there since 1968. But one of the things that I've tried to find in discussing intelligence with the other side, what I call the dark side, is the fact that you can reduce it down to two simple things: freedom versus slavery, period, and that's it. And once you get that, then you can start to expand on what is freedom, what is slavery, and then all of a sudden you start to scratch and everything. Happen on the wrong side. Please, think of it that way.
Who put out the bumper sticker that says socialism is slavery? That was you, Tony. There you go. Because that's one of our slogans. Socialism is slavery. Yep, absolutely.
As Bishop Jackson said, the Gramsciists have redefined the terms. So they've told us that slavery is now freedom. You know, socialism is freedom. So you're right, you go to those things, you've got to define what those things are, what they really are, and then go out from there. But I just want to say too, we want to sign up everybody here who wants to be part of the team, but we are going to, all these Marxist candidates have to come through your state. And we can, we've got a pledge, a candidate pledge. Do you support, will you renounce socialism, communism? We are going to maybe do billboards, we've got a pack, we're going to do letters to the editor, social media, radio interviews.
A voter guide that
Voter guide.
compares these candidates' positions with the Communist Party USA.
Yeah, so we are going to ambush them as they come through the pass. Okay, so we want people who can help with that.
The call is every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And all you've got to do is email me at ewj@standamerica.us. ewj@standamerica.us. I've also got cards back there. If you email me at the address on the card, which is my personal email address, president@standamerica.us, we will add you to the list. And we'll send you an invitation, okay, to join us. Because as you all know, we're trying to avoid being infiltrated. But we'll happily invite you if you just let us know that you want to be a part. Oh, thank you. I've got a radio program that I'm using, and if you all have ideas about guests or people that I need to talk to, I'm on American Family Radio. We're on 191 stations around the country. You can also hear me on afr.net live stream from at 1 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. In fact, is John still here? There you go, John. John came because he heard me on the radio. He listens at it on a station here in Manchester. So we do have a station here in Manchester. So it's another resource, folks. Let's use it. Yes, ma'am.
I heard you talk about the work you're doing with the ministers, and this is interesting because so many of them have been intimidated not to talk. I think they're afraid of losing their tax status or whatever.
Or some of their members.
Some brave people have persisted, like a rabbi that has to take up in Massachusetts. How are you going to get them to help make people see that they're really being enslaved by this kind of ideology?
Well, we have something, understand, and I don't, Kareem, do we have any ministers taking a stand pamphlets over there? We have any ministers taking a stand pamphlet? Okay. We have something called Ministers Taking a Stand. Oh, we got, John is my promoter here. Okay. And we got CDs over there. We got Ministers Taking a Stand, which is a network of ministers around the country who are of different backgrounds. STAND is not a black organization, but we've made a point to reach out to these black ministers. And what we're finding is this: the ones who are dedicated to truth, when they hear the truth, they respond and they gravitate to it. The problem is they just don't have anybody telling them the truth. Because you're right, a lot of people are intimidated. And you go around and I get up and speak to a group of ministers and they come up to me and say, man, thank you. I'm going back to my church and I'm going to preach what you preach. So we've got a network under Ministers Taking a Stand, and every time I get a chance, I'll meet with ministers. Just a quick testimony. One of my best friends today became a friend several years ago, having heard me in a meeting, something like this. And he said he and his wife went home in tears said because he realized they had been misled all their lives and were voting for things that were against the very faith that they were preaching. They've become some of my dearest friends. In fact, they laugh every time we see each other and get together. They say, you know, Bishop, it's hard to be your friend, but we don't care. We're your friend anyway. So it's working. It's working.
There's a lady here with it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I have a few relatives and friends that, they say, well, I mean, we've been sliding towards socialism for a while, which is true, ever since FDR. How do I combat that? I paid it, I get Social Security now, but I still see the system as wrong, the government should be running it. What is the good thing to say to them, to make them realize that, other than me just saying, I don't support these programs anyway? You know, they never should have been started.
Yeah, well, you know, let's see, let's get the government running McDonald's, shall we? And how long do you think it would be, how long do you think you could still go into a burger place and get a whole choice of burgers and a whole choice of milkshakes and at cheap prices? How long do you think that would maintain? You know, the government, you know, we have had some socialism, but it's been the free enterprise that's kept it all going. You get to the point like Venezuela where it actually gets so bad that the free enterprise can no longer sustain it. We all love sustainability, right? So, you know, it goes off the edge, you know, and the big one I call is socialised healthcare, because that is attractive to even some conservatives.
Yeah.
Because you think, you know, they've wrecked the healthcare system with their regulations so much that it's now so expensive that people think, oh yeah, I wouldn't mind it being free. Well, look, just look at it this way. If you live in a free market healthcare system, and I know it's not free market here, but you're a customer. And how do you business people treat your customers, folks? Pretty darn good, right? But if you're in a socialised healthcare system, it's a fixed budget but unlimited needs. And every procedure you have, every pill you take, is a liability on that system. How do you business people treat their liabilities? Gone. You know, my 85-year-old father paid taxes all his life. He goes hunting, he goes fishing, he plays ping pong. He's in great health, but he's got bad shoulder ligaments. This is in New Zealand. So he goes to the doctor and says, how much would an operation cost to fix my ligaments? They say, oh, 10 grand. Or can I get one? He says, you're 85 years old. You're not paying taxes. Do you think they're going to invest money in you? You know, they go and here's some painkillers. You know, just think about this. Christchurch Public Hospital in New Zealand, socialised healthcare. You got to say maybe the oncology department might have a $20 million a year budget for chemotherapy. You got a 7-year-old girl in this bed with leukemia. You got a 75-year-old guy in this bed with prostate cancer. Each one will take $200,000 to treat. It's the end of the year. Your budget's getting pretty low, and the accountants have told you if you go over, it comes out of next year's budget. You really can only treat one of them. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? If you know, socialised healthcare is great as long as you don't get sick or old. You know?
Look, the other thing that we should say, Social Security, while it has become a kind of socialist program because now there's no money in any lockbox, the theory on which it was started was you work and pay into it and then collect back what you paid into it. So it was never really supposed to be a socialist program. It was supposed to be a program of security where the government, that's probably where we made our mistake, where the government was supposed to hold on to your money and give that back to you. It's now become, of course, a socialist program because there is no money in Social Security now, and every check that anybody gets from Social Security is on borrowed money. So look, Thomas Jefferson, and I'll just say it this way, Thomas Jefferson said, the government that is big enough to give you everything you need is big enough to take everything you have. At what point do you end up working for the government and become a slave for the government if you keep turning over every aspect of your life to the government? John.
I'd like to say this about racists. I have long held the belief that there is only one race.
Amen.
And recent scientific investigation has proved it. That makes me the biggest racist in the region, if not the whole country.
Well, that's what the Bible teaches. Yes, ma'am.
Trevor, would you talk to the audience about the film that you're working on?
Yeah, as I said before, politics is downstream from culture. Culture shapes the politics. But politics is downstream from religion. The religion shapes the culture shapes the politics. So if your culture is a bit screwed up and your politics is off the wall, what's that telling you about your religion? Now, we're doing a movie called Enemies Within the Church. We've already done one called Enemies Within, which basically said there's about 20% of your congressmen and 20% of your senators are working for the other team. Well, the Catholic Church, we all know, has been heavily penetrated to the point you now have a Marxist Pope. Most of the mainstream Protestant churches in this country are the Communist Party at prayer. But what has been pure and has been good for a long time have been the evangelicals and the Baptists, right? They've stuck to their message, they've voted conservative, they've believed in the Bible and been true to the faith. Well, don't you think that might upset the left? These are the people who voted for Ronald Reagan and even worse, for Donald Trump. So there's been a big program over the last 5 years to infiltrate left-wing ideas into the evangelical and Baptist churches. The Southern Baptists, the largest Protestant denomination in the country, the most conservative, just adopted critical race theory at their conference in Alabama 2 months ago. That is Marxism. That is James Cone. That is the idea that you can only be a racist if you're part of the dominant culture. And so to end racism, you have to overturn the dominant culture, which is white, heterosexist, homophobic capitalism. It's as Bishop Jackson said, it's not the class struggle now. You overturn the dominant structures of society. So when you've got the Southern Baptists adopting Marxism, when you've got groups like the Gospel Coalition and Tim Keller promoting social justice like crazy in the evangelical churches and critical race theory and welcoming refugees from overseas and legal immigration, and we're all fired up about global warming. 80% of American Christianity is now going to the left. And that is going to have huge impacts on our culture and huge impacts on our politics. So whether you care about the religious side or not, you should care about what's happening to American Christianity. So our next movie is going to be Enemies Within the Church. And if you think you were shocked tonight, I've been shocked at what I've found. So please go to enemieswithinthechurch.com. You can see a trailer there, maybe flicking a few dollars to help us get it made. But anybody who cares about the future of this country should care about what we're doing in that movie.
All right, we'll just take a couple more and then close out.
I just want to put in a plug for the Enemies Within the movie. If you have friends, neighbors, coworkers that may be persuadable, but they don't pay a lot of attention to this stuff, that movie is a great resource to share with those people. So you can pick it up, I'm sure, on Amazon. I think you sold out of those the other night, right, Trevor?
Yeah, it's on Amazon. It's on Amazon Prime too. We had it on Amazon Prime for 1 month, and it got over 1 million views with no advertising, no promotion whatsoever. It's complete word of mouth.
Anybody who hasn't had a chance, so we'll make this the last one, Tony.
Very, very quickly, one of the things I forgot to mention, social justice is one of the things that's bothered me for a long time, and I finally found the answer. It's not social justice, it's misspelled. It's soul, S-O-U-L. Social justice. It's justice that emanates from the soul, from within, and not dictated from somewhere on the outside. So it's Judeo-Christian traditions, and then they go on forever.
The word justice should not need a qualifier.
No.
Right.
You know, it's either just or it's not just. That's it.
And justice comes from God.
Yes.
And see, they want to have justice imposed by the state based on their own perverted values. And so social justice has really nothing to do with justice. It has to do with taking what someone else has earned and giving it to someone else and rejiggering society after their own perverted image. So, well, listen, folks, we had a meeting today. It went great, and we'll be back at it again next Thursday at 3 o'clock. So if you want to join us, please do. If you've signed up, we'll get you out a notice. I think we've covered everything. Is there anything we haven't touched on?
We'll just say, look, we'll be putting out memos, we'll be putting out information packages that you can take to a meeting and talk all about, Kamala Harris's background, or put it on social media.
And that will be on the standagainstcommunism.com website, standagainstcommunism.com.
Yeah, so
Her father came against her.
Sorry?
Kamala's father, he came against her.
I know, he got a bit upset with her, yeah, I know, it was funny. But, we're gonna hit New Hampshire and Iowa first, because this is the early states where these people have to come through, and we want to confront them with their sins right up. So it goes all over the country, so they can't get away with the scam. If we'd done this to Obama in 2008, we might have been able to stop it. Well, that's what we're going to do, to try and make sure that these communists cannot get into the presidency, and that will help President Trump win his election.
God bless you all. Thank you all for coming.
Croc TV.